Hello. Come pick this today, folks. Here we are today at the famous Kep Crab Market. This is the actual market, and it's changing all the time. They've built a port here by the look. This is where the actual seafood is sold, and other products as well. And the restaurants are along the side have garnered the name of the crab market as well. And we'll take a walk along there after we've been through the market. They're selling durian. I intend to do a video on durian, or jackfruit as it's known at some point. It's an unusual fruit. It's banned in a lot of places due to the smell. It does have a distinct smell, but I don't get what the fuss is. It is very expensive and is considered a luxury. Many hotels have signs in there saying no firearms and no durian. So the smell must really get in. So today, some tray and muk, squid and fish, barbecue, senang. And here we've got pickled vegetables. Pickled vegetables are very popular in Southeast Asia. Pickled pepper even. Famous Kampot pepper in there. As we get deeper into the market, we'll see the seafood section of it. I'm not sure what it's like at this time of the day. It's the middle of the afternoon, so I doubt if there'll be a lot of seafood on offer. Some prawns. Everything fresh. Look at those lovely vegetables. Bok choy, my favourite vegetable. Well, one of my favourite. This has all been reclaimed, the land between the crab market and the coast, and it's labelled as a port, so I suppose they're hoping for a couple of things. Cruise ships perhaps, but also I haven't heard this, but maybe they're aiming for a direct ferry to Phu Quoc Island, Vietnam. More connections in this part of the world. Here we go. Got to find a way into the seafood section. The famous Kep crabs, blue claws, octopus with the ink in there, squid, some lovely sized prawns. A lot of different varieties of prawns. Each of these are different. Oh, I love prawns. And these are, I'm not sure if they're prawns or the snapping prawns. They're much larger. And shellfish. I tend to stay away from shellfish because they're an easy way to get food sick if you're not careful. Just look at the eyes in there, they're really fresh. You can tell how fresh a fish is by its eyes. Some more shellfish. I think, yep, they're scallops. I like scallops. Seeing a lot of scallops around lately, actually. And there's a different species of crabs still alive. Claws tied for safety. The Kep crabs with the blue claws. More Kep crabs. Gadam. What are you, Clyde? It smells delicious. It really smells wonderful. Wish I could convey the smell. There you go. There's these big prawns again. I'm not sure if they're prawns or not though, because they actually have claws at the front. So many crabs. Well, it is the crab market, so it makes sense.
For you. I'm scary.
I don't know what they try to sell tourist crabs. Most tourists here are staying in a hotel, so they've got no actual way of cooking them. Oh, that looks lovely. Sinang. Kedam Maret. Saat. Pepper crab. Good combination here. The pepper from Cam Pot, where I'm from, and the kep from the crab from Wonderful Old Kep. Sorry if I'm a bit lost for words. I've just gotten off a 40-minute moto ride along a road that's being worked on, and these are wonderful. Barbecued squid. They're just succulent. The aromas in the air, I wish I could convey them. I'm going to have something to eat after I finish filming. Some decent sized fish. Seafood is the main way in Southeast Asia that people get their protein. And those are some really big, I'm not sure if they're squid or octopus at that size. Yeah, they're some of the biggest I've seen in this part of the world. There you go, some more big ones. Vietnamese and Khmer originate from the same language, and there are some traces in that, although they've diverged over the centuries. They both have the same word for things like squid. Vietnamese under Chinese influence became a tonal language, and only, I'm going on the advice of linguists, they share a common origin, which is not related to Thai, Lao, Malay, or any of the other languages around the nation states. Sweet chili sauce, I live on that stuff. This might got me there. Tiny little crabs, tiny little dried prawns. I wonder how long they keep for. I know dried fish can keep for ages. More piles and piles of dried prawns. One of the most relaxed markets I've been to in Southeast Asia. I've been in this market before, but normally in the early hours of the day when it's a lot busier. There's a lot more to it, but it's pretty much all the same stuff. There's some clothes being sold along there. What we'll do, we'll head for a walk along and have a look at the restaurant section. Now, when I first came to Kep 20 odd years ago, it was full of buildings like this. Hopefully the video will pick it up. And it was full of buildings that had been built pre-Civil War that were just abandoned and left sitting there. And a lot of them are still here, but they're slowly disappearing over the years. This is the peak tourist time of year, so lots of tourists around. Kep is usually very quiet. If you come here in the rainy season, apart from a few expats who live here, you may not find another foreigner. There are quite a few expats living in Kep. It's a little bit more expensive. They're still cheaper than the West. And living here, you would have to make the occasional trip to Cam Pot to buy certain things, I'd imagine. And here's where the restaurant starts. Says today. Says today. home. It's the middle of the day, so these restaurants are all empty now. They, as I've mentioned in my previous video where I sat down and ate, they tend to get busier around sunset. They face to the west, so they're on the perfect location to capture a sunset. There were a few Westerners who tried here over the years to run restaurants along this strip, and I haven't noticed any that have lasted. I haven't seen any today either that have a Western name. I'm not sure why that is. Cambodia is wonderful if you're a foreigner, either retiring or looking to make a living, because unlike its neighbours, as an expat pointed out to me recently, they allow you to be creative. There are very, very few restrictions on what work they will and will not allow you to do, and paperwork is at an absolute minimum. In our neighbouring countries, there are lots of hoops to jump through. You can, for instance, in Thailand, you can own a bar. It'll be in someone else's name as a nominee, but you can't pour a beer in your own bar, just as an example. That's because in Thailand, you can't do any work that you haven't demonstrated a Thai is unable to do. I'll just do a pan around to the mountains. It's what makes Kep special, the beach and the jungle-filled mountains that run down to the beach. That's it for me. It's what I love about it. Mentioned in another video, it reminds me a little bit of a place where I used to spend summers as a kid called Lawn, where the hills are covered in rainforest and it used to come right down to the beach. Kep is a bit like that. As I pointed out in another video, there is a royal estate somewhere in the general direction I'm pointing the camera. I'm not too sure how wide it extends, but just looking at the garden I can see, and you may not be able to see in the shadows, I assume this land here, and how well maintained it is, and the brick wall and then another stone wall behind that. I guess this is part of the royal estate as well. I could be wrong. There you go, someone's having a sing. Everyone can sing in Southeast Asia, except me. Okay, so we've reached the end of the restaurants. Now we're at the ocean, as always. Dead calm and flat here. I suppose if you come here in the middle of the monsoon time, you might get a little bit of... Oh, actually, the one time I've been on a boat ever and been worried was I went out to Rabbit Island years ago, and a gust of wind picked up and the boat was going up and down at an angle where I thought it was going to roll, but it didn't. So I suppose it depends on where the wind's coming from, and that day I just struck a bit of a freak wind. Now, and I was wrong about that. That's a resort. There's a sign up there saying Melia Resort, so that's why it's well maintained. The royal residence mustn't start up until a few hundred metres ahead. Susadai? Cook beer? Cambodians drink their beer differently. They generally won't make the cans cold. They'll get plastic cups or glasses and add the warm beer to ice and then scull it, and you've got to do cheers. Susadai? Smasa art? Tôi? Nhâm cái đám? Nhâm bài, hấp bài. Hấp bài. As I've mentioned in previous videos, Cambodian culture is very family orientated. Teenagers, the world around, they'll go out and have their own friends, but other than that period in life, Cambodians are pretty much with their kids and their wife, husband, sisters, brothers, everyone's a cousin. Today, tick tick,
How long you come here?
23 year.
Oh, 23 years.
Yeah. Timoi Se Nookville, TP Campot.
Oh, very good. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
Check my store.
yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Oh, good.
Yeah, good.
Yeah, people are friendly. That's another thing I like about Cambodia. And the more you get away from the tourist places, the more genuine it is. Phnom Penh's a different world altogether. I hope to do some videos there at some point, but it's a big modern city now. It's changed so much. I could not live there, but there are many expats who love it there. The lifestyle that they can get for the price they get is amazing. Oh, branch good. I just walked into a tree branch. As you may have noticed, Cambodians cover up in the sun. To them, it's a bit like what it was in Europe a few hundred years ago. The paler your skin, the more attractive, because people with money don't go out and work in the sun. And there is some wisdom in it. You do, at a certain point in life, if you've spent your life in the sun, get a bit leathery, to put it gently, and they avoid that. Me personally, I couldn't care if someone's skin is chalk white or brown. I'm a pasty white man. I go white, red, white. And we're about to get to a new section. Now, I remember these being constructed about 3 or 4 years ago, so they're not exactly new, but in the walkthroughs I've done of them in the subsequent time, they just have not taken off yet, but they will. Keep will only grow. And yeah, that's definitely the start of the royal residence in the hill up there. Any of the royal family watching, I make excellent coffee, okay? Speaking of coffee, the one shop along here, there was a motorbike rental shop or repair shop I noticed the other day, and this coffee shop with a drive-through service. I'll stop on the way back and grab one. Oh no, I've got my thermos. These are actually quite well done. Normally when the government do something like this, they'll do something a bit slipshod, but these look fairly quality done. And I assume, because I had a look, they're pretty small shops. I assume the aim is that they're basically going to cook inside, and people will be sitting out here and on the wooden deck, which we'll walk over to actually. Some fishing boats, and they probably help supply that crab market we just walked through. Yeah, here's a shop that's empty, so you can get a perspective on how small they are. That would be maybe 15 feet deep through to the other side. So there's just going to be a kitchen there, and then tables and chairs out here. And this will be a lovely spot, except in the rainy season, to sit out to the west, watch the sunset. The sky's not very clear today, so you're not going to see any islands on the horizon, probably. I can see the shadows of a couple. Don't know the names of them all, because there's more islands than you'd imagine. If you have a look at a really detailed map at some point along this part of the coast, there are tiny little and large islands everywhere. hopefully at some point I'll get to take you out to Korong Salem. They're at a special place and time at the moment. Just if you're a young backpacker, flashpacker, or just like beaches and islands, magnificent, best kept secrets in Asia. But they're developing at a rapid pace. Here we go, he's going out alone. That's a gutsy move. And here we've got one more shop that's open by the look. Hopefully these start to take off. I'd imagine over New Year. The few that, oh, there's a salon, right. Well, I imagine over New Year it would have been packed down here. Not as packed as Campot. The figures came out. We had, was it 200,000 or 300,000 visitors for a city of 50,000 over New Year? So that explains the crowds down at the riverside that I commented on that day. Officially, Campot has a population of 50,000. Kep, I haven't looked up the numbers. I would guess 10, maybe. But there hasn't been a census done in Cambodia for a very long time. So those numbers are either estimates or based on what the local officials have decided. And I just know, with my past experience with locals, they'll be registered as living in their village, but they may not have lived in their village in another province for over a decade. So they'd show up as living in, say, Prey Veng, when they're really living in Sihanoukville or Siem Reap or Phnom Penh. This will be a future record. 10 years from now, someone will be looking at it and thinking, wow, these are all quiet and empty. Why didn't I jump on and open one of the shops there? Right now, you'd be struggling to make money, because there just are not the people coming to this part of it yet. There is some kind of pub restaurant at the end, I noticed, and we'll finish the walk up there. There's a little bit of wind today. Hope it's not interfering with the sound. Doesn't matter. When you've got a view like that, you don't need to listen to much, do you? Okay, all those boats that I can see, there's only one man per boat. They know what they're doing. They've been doing this for a few millennia. It was on one of those long tail boats that had the scary trip over or back, I can't remember which leg it was, to Rabbit Island. But it got through it. We were doing more than 45 degrees up and down, but they're built for these conditions. And this looks like a wonderful little pub that'll hopefully take off in years. Writing's in Khmer, so I don't know the name of it. Looks like they hire or repair motorbikes. And I'll just walk through up to the end of this and we'll call it a wrap. Hardwood. Furniture like that may look rough and ready, but it could be worth thousands of dollars, depending on what wood it's made out of. Another way, like gold, of storing value. That road leads around to Kep Beach. Okay guys, I hope you enjoyed it today, and I'll see you next time. Hope to see you here in Kep or Campot someday. Bye bye.